Okay, so we're back with hand number 3 here. I've been dumbing the first 2 hands, and I don't think I'll be declare on this one either, but sometimes bridge is like that. I played bridge this afternoon, and I think I declared 1 hand, and I went down 1. And other than that, I was either defending or just dumbing the whole time, which is nice sometimes. It can be very relaxing. And then sometimes you have the sessions where you have so many decisions to make, and there's so many things to do, and it's really exhausting. So I guess it goes each way. So we have a good distribution here. 5-4-3-1 is my favorite distribution, but we don't have quite enough to overcall. So I'm going to pass. We have only 4 points, and we don't have any voids or anything. Our spade suit's terrible. We're vulnerable versus not. This would be a crazy overcall, and I'm just not going to make that. If I made this overcall, I think David would lose some respect for me, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to pass. And sometimes, believe it or not, this happens more than you might think. If you have like a chunky 4-card suit or even a spade suit like this and you don't overcall, there's some chance that the opponents are about to play in that suit. Like especially if you're overcalling on a 4-card suit. If your partner is a singleton, the opponents were about to play in that suit, almost for certain, right? Imagine you overcalled a heart on ace, queen, jack, 10, and next thing you know, the opponents are in 3-no trump instead of their 4-4 heart fit or 5-3 heart fit. That kind of stuff definitely happens. So there's a lot of upside sometimes for not bidding. And I think a lot of people forget that. I think what you need to do when you're thinking about should I overcall is like, do you have a reason to overcall? So here I don't really have much of a reason. It's very dangerous. My suit's terrible. My hand's terrible. Mostly only bad things can happen. You know, the vulnerability is wrong. It's like a really bad situation. Now, if I was white versus red, I might overcall. It would be a lot more upside. We might find a good save. You know, it's much less dangerous. I still wouldn't do it with a hand this bad, but you could do it with a hand this weak. This is kind of a misdirected hand, and it's the same principle here. I can't pre-balance here into 2 spades. My hand is just too terrible. My partner would likely know my spades are terrible if I balanced here because I didn't overcall, but it doesn't make it any safer. It's even a level higher. So the opponents are going to do their relay asking stuff. So what most people play these days is after they raise a major here, is that 2 spades is asking, tell me more. Why did you raise me? So now David's going to be able to say, oh, I have 4 trumps, or oh, I have only 3 trumps. Or in this case, he's going to say, oh, I not only have 4 trumps, but I have a singleton club. So, Gary's going to be well placed to see if they have a slam or not, or if he was just looking for game, he'll just bid 4 hearts. This is like a really common kind of convention these days. Some people will raise pretty often with 3-card support. Like, let's say David had 3 hearts and like a singleton club, and he just might decide, I'm going to raise my partner to 2 hearts, even though I have only 3 of them. So playing this kind of convention allows you to tangle that out below 3-no trump. So it looks like Gary doesn't have any slam interest. He's just going to bid 4 hearts, and that's where they're going to play. So he may have either just been looking for make sure his partner had 4 hearts, or he may have been turned off by the club splinter. Alright, so Oren is going to double this out of the blue. That usually means that he has 4 tricks, so we'll see. But he may have been making what's known as a spec double, which is something juniors tend to make, people under 30. And I'm going to include a couple people over 30 in this category. But they just like to double things when they think they might go down, when they think things are poorly placed or splitting poorly, in which case he may not need to have 4 tricks in his hand. He may have 3 or even fewer tricks and just be hoping it goes down. So we don't have any tricks to help, but that's not surprising given that Oren thinks he has the tricks, so it would be shocking if we had the tricks also. So it's very likely that we will have a hand like this when partner doubles. And in fact, this hand is pretty good. We have diamond stopped. We didn't have to have anything, and we have spades, kind of stopped. So declare is not going to have an easy ride. Looks like Oren's double may have paid off. So that's about what you'd expect for the dummy, I think, right? It has 4 trumps and a singleton club and an opening bid. And we knew it wouldn't have 15 points or 14 points because David didn't jump right away to 3 hearts, which is what he would do with a very solid opening bid with a singleton club and 4-card support. So he has about exactly what I would expect. So this is interesting. My partner led a low trump, which is a little bit surprising. A lot of the times when people double here, it's because they have the trump stacked. And if that was the case, the last thing you'd want to be doing is leading away from your trump stack. So it looks like Oren may have just made a general values double, or maybe he has 3 aces or something like that. That doesn't leave Declare with very much, but I suppose it's possible. One thing that's very likely is that Oren has pretty good clubs, since I think he's trying to protect his club holding by leading a trump. So what I'm going to do is I really feel like a lot of the time Gary's going to lead the singleton club from the dummy, and I'm going to play. I have to decide whether to play the 9 or the 5 on it. Okay, I want to tell my partner that I have 3s to make his defense easier, but I have to decide if I can afford to play the 9 or if I might have to save it to try to protect, to try to maybe protect partner's clubs or take a trick with it. So the 5 might be a little ambiguous versus the 9, but I don't feel that I can necessarily waste the 9. So I'm going to go ahead and play the 5. And hopefully partner will be able to read that I have 3. And in fact, I'll follow with the deuce when Declare does in fact rough a club. So partner will work out my club holding. So that's an important decision points like this. Cardinal rule of bridge is never signal with a trick. Okay, if your signal will cost your side a trick, you should almost never do it, because it just goes against the principle of bridge, which is to take the tricks that belong to you and some of the opponents as well. You don't want to be giving them some of your tricks if you can help it. So Gary's in the tank. I think he's got a tricky hand to play, which makes a lot of sense from the auction, that this hand will be tricky for him, and he's trying to navigate his way. And you'll see that a lot at top level bridge. People will take a long time, and good players, really good players, have a huge amount of faith in their own ability to read the positions and to find the best lines. And good players hate to make mistakes. So what you'll see is that they'll think and they'll think and they'll think sometimes until they've settled on what they think is the right thing to do, because they have so much faith in themselves that they're able to do that. So good players won't just thrash around playing tricks. They won't play anything until they're pretty sure what to do, which is why sometimes when the players are really good is they'll play a card. They won't play a card for 5-6 minutes, but then when they play a card, they're ready to play a bunch of tricks in a row, because they've decided what they're going to do and what's going on, and then they've planned it ahead, which is something that you see a lot in strong games, and I don't see that as much in weaker games. In weaker games, the tempo is much more randomized. I think people may just aren't really sure what to do, so they play something, then they aren't really sure what to do, so they play something, then so you get a little more randomized breaks. One thing that will never happen at the top level, or almost never, is when your fellow expert is thinking, nobody ever tries to rush them. Almost never. Okay, so if we're sitting at the bridge table at a regional or nationals or wherever, and Gary's thinking like this, Oren and I and David will sit there very quietly and peacefully and, allow Gary the right to think, because we would want the same in return. So he is finally going to play the club as we expected, and I've decided to play the 5 and not the 9. I haven't thought this position through. I'm a bit lazy maybe. Maybe I could have thought it through, but I've decided it just feels like the 9 might cost a trick. So this is interesting. Declare played the 8 and my partner played the Jack. So it feels like Declare has the 10, because partner generally wins the tricks as cheaply as possible. So it really feels like Oren has the Ace Queen Jack of clubs and Gary has the King 10 8. That really makes a lot of sense. Or maybe the Queen 10 8. So he may be trying to squash my 9 or something. So I may have been right about keeping my 9, but it may not be enough. Interesting. So Oren's not going to play another trump. He's going to play a diamond. So I'm just going to signal with my lowest diamond, hoping that he takes it as encouraging or counter, whatever he wants to take it as. My diamond is very high though, so he may not be able to read it as a low one. But it's the best I can do. I don't know that I can necessarily afford to waste the queen. If that's a singleton 2 of diamonds, I really don't want to play the queen and help Declare set up his 10. If I thought Oren had 3 diamonds, I would definitely play the queen. because now I can make it crystal clear to him that I have the queen jack and he can continue the suit. But he can probably guess that anyway from Declare winning the ace. It feels like Declare would rather be in his hand. It looks like he's trying to set up his clubs, or rough clubs. And he'd probably have won the diamond in his hand with the queen if he had it to continue doing that. So, oh, Gary's asking our carding. I'm going to tell him that it's upside down. Yeah, the only time players will usually experts will get agitated or a little bit if somebody's taking a long time. If they take a excessive amount of time on a lot of hands in a row, like that, a lot of time is a little bit aggravating. Or if you're way behind in the round and you're really thinking, or if somebody's thinking in a situation where you know that they've already made their contract, for example. All right, that was not necessarily the play I was expecting to see. I'm guessing my partner has the... I'll just play that one. Maybe I should have played the jack to be the clearest card I can. I'm going to tell him that I have an odd number. I should have played the jack. Oh my goodness gracious. I shouldn't have played the high spade at all. Might as well have kept the 8 to be able to force it out. Alright, so it looks like my partner had 10-3 of diamonds, or maybe 10-4. We're about to find out if Gary follows. Okay, so partner had 4 diamonds to the 10. So this is interesting. We have a lot of information about this hand right now. So Oren did double them, so he probably has 4 trumps. So he has no spades, and we know he had exactly 4 diamonds. So his most probable distribution is 0, 4, 4, 5, with 5 clubs to start with. So we know its shape. And as an expert defender, you're always thinking about distributions. So now we know Declare's distribution is almost certainly 4, 4, 1, 4 in that order. So Oren's going to discard. He does not want to rough Declare's winners. He wants to, or losers, because Declare could just play low. So he's going to discard on that trick. So he's saving his trumps, which is often just generally a good strategy. And here even he can discard his last diamond. So if Declare leads a diamond, now he can maybe over-rough Declare, which is going to be much stronger defense than roughing what would essentially be a bunch of low spades. So he's probably going to take whatever trumps he has coming. So he's in no rush to rough losers. So if he over-roughs here, he's over-roughing the jack instead of roughing a low spade, which is clearly better. But he's going to discard again. So either he doesn't have any high hearts or he's saving them even longer. My guess is he's saving them. David Berkowitz says, excellent double. So I'll finally throw the jack of spades, because why not? David Berkowitz is one of the funniest guys around at the bridge table. He says, excellent double, as are most doubles against us. So I'm just discarding the jack of spades to make it crystal clear that I have 5 spades to the jack 10. Oren already knew this. Oren knows the whole shapes also. I guarantee that. So he's going to draw some trumps. He's going to discard another club here. Okay, he's going to tap the dummy's trump away. And I think Declare has the rest. Oren was kind of end played on this trick. All he has left is clubs, so unless he has the ace-king, he's going to have to give Declare's hand is going to be high with the last 2 tricks. Nothing we could really do about it. So we didn't have much to do in this defense, but it was important that we were paying attention, because we could have had something to do. We could have had to do something important on the hand. You just never know. Maybe you're going to get in as a surprise with a diamond trick. That could have been on another layout. Or maybe we surprisingly get in with a spade, or we had to give partner correct count, or we had to discard correctly. Even when you have a bad hand, it's important to pay attention. And the best way to do this is just to, man up and say to yourself, I'm going to pay attention on every hand, to the best that I can, and get in the habit of that. Once you're in the habit of thinking all the time, it becomes more and more natural. I say this all the time to my students. It becomes much easier to do the work of counting and to work out what people have when you are in the habit of it. So it takes months and months of practice, but it gets easier and easier. I liken it to if you're going to train to be a long distance runner. Okay, it's going to be hard at first. You're going to run a mile, maybe. You're going to be dead after half a mile. But, after a few weeks, suddenly you're running 1.5 miles. And then after a few months, you're running 4 miles. It's the same thing with counting at bridge. And that's why it's so exciting, because I really believe anyone can do it.